South Korean and Cambodian officials have agreed to establish a 24-hour hotline to strengthen their joint collaboration on tracking and tackling job scams targeting Korean nationals in Cambodia. In its latest push to complete its three major reforms, the ruling Democratic Party announced on Monday detailed plans for judicial and media reform through its special committees. Also on Monday, Korea's biggest aerospace and defense exhibition, SEOUL ADEX 2025, kicked off, where South Korea renewed its commitment to becoming a leading exporter and achieving a self-reliant defense structure. We begin with the latest on the job scams targeting Korean nationals in Cambodia. South Korean and Cambodian officials have agreed to secure a 24-hour hotline and a so-called Korean desk to tighten their collaboration on reducing criminal job scams involving Koreans, while two more victims were rescued from a related crime on Monday. Our Moon Ji-young starts us off.
Top police officials of South Korea and Cambodia held a bilateral meeting on Monday. They agreed to swiftly discuss starting this week the operation of a 24-hour hotline, active crackdowns on scam crimes targeting Koreans, and joint investigations. Separately, South Korea's National Police Agency has also decided to form its own dedicated task force to address the surge of crimes targeting South Koreans in Cambodia. Also on the same day, the government held its second interagency task force meeting, chaired by National Security Advisor Wi Sung-rak, to formulate countermeasures against crimes targeting South Korean nationals in Cambodia, including aggravated job scams.
Regarding future action plans, a key discussion point was how to respond to a potential balloon effect wherein existing scam operations might shift from Cambodia to other Southeast Asian countries due to the Cambodian authorities' strengthened enforcement efforts.
Earlier, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs confirmed that at least 10 more South Koreans have been arrested and 2 others rescued in connection with online job scams in Cambodia. They are expected to return to South Korea this week. This development follows a closed meeting held by the ministry on Monday, during which Foreign Minister Cho Hyun announced plans to add 40 consular positions and establish an early warning system to combat crimes in Southeast Asia. This comes after the death of a South Korean college student identified only by his surname Park. An autopsy was conducted by Cambodian and South Korean officials in Phnom Penh on the body of the 22-year-old victim on Monday. The autopsy came about 70 days after Park's body was found and involved 7 Korean officials, including pathologists from the National Forensic Service. The autopsy revealed no signs of organ damage or mutilation. They added that the exact cause of death will be definitively determined by combining the results of upcoming histological and toxicology tests to be conducted in South Korea, as well as the findings from ongoing investigations in both countries. Meanwhile, 64 South Koreans detained in Cambodia on charges related to online scam operations returned home on a chartered flight early Saturday. Moon Ji-young, Arirang News.
South Korea's Minister of Employment and Labor is avowing a fundamental shift in the country's policy toward foreign workers, pledging to protect their rights and treat them as integral members of society. The new policy direction comes as the nation faces a declining working age population and a growing reliance on migrant labor. Our Kim Do-yeon has this report.
Minister of Employment and Labor Kim Young-hoon said the government is moving away from viewing foreign workers simply as a means to fill labor shortages, but viewing them as neighbors. At a briefing with foreign correspondents in Seoul on Monday, he took questions from foreign media about the changing labor landscape in the nation, especially the rights of foreign workers.
Amid declining working age population and the risk of regional decline, foreign workers have become indispensable partners in Korea's economy and society, and members who symbolize diversity and openness. We are working to ensure that they can work safely and stably, without discrimination, as valued neighbors in our workplaces and communities.
Minister Kim framed the protection of foreign workers' rights as a matter of national interest, directly linking their treatment in South Korea to the safety and security of Korean nationals working overseas. The minister was also asked about the challenges faced by international students, particularly those in the humanities, who often struggle to find skilled employment after graduation in Korea. He said the ministry is preparing to improve systematic education and training programs so that students who came to Korea for language and humanities studies can transition into technical fields. The minister also sought to ease concerns among foreign companies regarding the recent passage of the Yellow Envelope Act. The law expands the bargaining rights of subcontracted workers and limits employers' ability to seek damages from unions for strikes.
We have about 4 to 5 months until the law is implemented, and before then, our ministry will do its best to resolve the uncertainties that foreign investors and companies are concerned about by providing manuals and guidelines.
Regarding the recent job scam in Cambodia, where young South Koreans were lured by false promises of high-paying jobs, Minister Kim said the incident highlights the urgent need to create more quality jobs for young people. The minister said the government will crack down on fraudulent job postings while fundamentally working to improve the youth employment situation. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Industry Minister Kim Jong-kwon said the U.S. is not currently demanding a full cash investment from South Korea regarding the ongoing Korea-U.S. tariff negotiations. Upon his return from his visit to the U.S. on Monday, Minister Kim said if it had reached the point of demanding full cash, the issue would have been unresolvable, but the U.S. side has, to a significant extent, accepted our opinions. He also signaled that he could revisit the U.S. to continue negotiations if necessary, even before the APEC leaders' meeting, and underscored that the priority has to be whether it comes to an agreement that best serves the national interest rather than timing of that meeting. South Korean shares on Monday closed at a fresh record high for the fourth straight sessions on Monday, on the back of investors' hopes over easing trade tensions between the U.S. and China. The benchmark KOSPI soared past 3,800 mark for the first time to close its session at 3,814.69. According to a market analyst, this latest stellar performance was driven by the thaw in trade tensions between the U.S. and China and a reduction in U.S. credit risks. South Korea's ruling party is moving full speed ahead with its signature reforms, unveiling bold plans on Monday to reshape both the judiciary and the media landscape, moves that have already sparked a fierce clash political debate. Our Moon Hae-dan has the details.
The ruling Democratic Party in South Korea is accelerating its three major reforms following the passage of its prosecutorial reform bill. The DP's newly unveiled judicial reform proposal seeks to nearly double the number of Supreme Court justices from 14 to 26. This expansion, which would add 4 new justices annually until the third year of enactment, aims to speed up case handling and diversify perspectives in the top court. Given that the terms of 10 current justices, including Chief Justice Cho Lee-dae, will expire during his tenure, President Lee Jae-myung could appoint a total of 22 justices under this new system. The proposal has sparked heated partisan debate. The DP says the reforms are intended to restore public trust in the judiciary, not to interfere with court decisions.
Opposing judicial reform is no different from saying that. Given the opportunity, one would again make biased rulings based on political interests. Judicial reform is about legally ensuring political neutrality under all circumstances.
The main opposition, People Power Party, however, argues that expanding the Supreme Court is a way to exert political influence over the judiciary, calling it a destruction of judicial independence.
The judicial reform being pushed by the Lee administration is a judicial coup with zero independence and fairness, an attempt by the government to control trials and dictate their outcomes.
Other elements of the judicial reform bill include diversifying the Supreme Court Justice Recommendation Committee, introducing a judicial performance evaluation system, increasing public disclosure of court rulings, and creating a pre-hearing system for search and seizure warrants. Meanwhile, the Democratic Party also unveiled a media reform bill aimed at cracking down on false or manipulated information online. The proposal introduces a punitive damages system, allowing courts to impose up to 5 times the actual damages on media outlets or YouTubers found to have deliberately spread false content. To prevent abuse of defamation lawsuits by public figures, the bill adds a provision against cases meant to silence criticism. 문혜련, Arirang News.
South Korea's biggest defense and aerospace fair opened here in the country. There, President Jeonbuk vowed to increase related budget in research and development on an unprecedented scale. Our Presidential Office correspondent Yoon Jung-min reports.
A bold investment to make South Korea one of the 4 major powerhouses in the global defense industry. That was President Lee Jae-myung on Monday, addressing a major arms fair, the Seoul International Aerospace and Defense Exhibition 2025 at Kintex.
2030년까지 국방 R&D 그리고 항공 우주 R&D에 예상을 뛰어넘는 대대적인 예산을 투입해서 미래 국방을 위한 핵심 기술과 무기 체계를 확보하고.
He added the focus will be on developing special semiconductors for military purposes. The commander-in-chief also vowed to introduce a fast-track system so that the armed forces can swiftly adopt new technologies and create an environment where smaller firms and startups can actively take part in. Another focus was on international cooperation.
세계 시장에서 K-방산의 경쟁력을 확보하기 위해서는 단순히 뛰어난 제품을 수출하는 것을 넘어서 안보 협력 파트너라는 새로운 브랜드 가치를 제시해야 합니다.
President Lee underscored the need to develop not just cutting-edge technologies and homegrown weapons, but to achieve self-reliant defense, as he presided over a discussion with industrial officials the same day.
저는 우리 대한민국이 지금과 같은 상황에서도 자주 국방을 해결하지 못하고 국방을 어딘가에 의존해야 된다고 하는 생각을 하는 국민들이 일부라도 있다는 사실이 저는 좀 납득하기가 어렵습니다.
South Korea's defense spending will be increased over the next 5 years. The government has upped its defense budget for next year by over 8% to some 66 trillion won, worth $47 billion amid tensions on the peninsula and geopolitical uncertainties. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News.
And every year, SEOUL ADEX shows off the power of South Korea's defense capabilities, from the country's latest unmanned systems to AI-enhanced defense equipment. Our Park Jun-an was there.
The South Korean Air Force's Black Eagles aerobatic flight team is showcasing their spectacular flight performances. The team also painted the sky with smoke, forming the taek symbol, the central emblem of the South Korean flag that represents balance and harmony. The Black Eagles also performed a formation named Heart and Cupid, drawing heart-shaped clouds in the sky. This airshow was the opening event of the Seoul International Aerospace and Defense Exhibition 2025, the country's largest defense-related event that promotes the excellence of South Korean defense capabilities.
Seeing it up close, it was just amazing. I thought about how hard they must have trained. Watching them fly made me feel more patriotic and connected.
It was so cool. I wish I could fly one myself.
Seeing it in person felt really different from watching it on YouTube. You can feel the thrill that videos just can't capture, and I really like that.
After the air show ended, visitors had the chance to take a closer look at the actual planes, helicopters, and various other defense-related machines. Following the conclusion of the 3-day air show, the defense exhibition opened on Monday. The exhibition will be open to the public for 5 days until 5 p.m. on Friday. This next-generation infantry fighting vehicle features technology that can counter drone attacks, a crucial capability in modern warfare. When asked about the future of modern warfare shaped by AI and unmanned systems, a senior research engineer said,
AI-based autonomous driving and detection tracking technology enables unmanned vehicles to enter hazardous areas without risking human lives. AI can also maximize effectiveness by refining and training data to suit South Korea's military environment. Based on sovereign AI, it is expected to prevent technology leakage and strengthen combat capabilities through independent AI advancement.
The operations team of ADEX 2025 said that this year's exhibition will serve as a stage not only for defense products, but also for highlighting next-generation innovations that shape the future of advanced air mobility. Park Jun-han, Arirang News.
Starting Friday this week, South Korea's terror alert level will be raised from Stage 1 attention to Stage 2 caution, ahead of its hosting of global leaders attending the APEC meeting in Gyeongju next week. Also, starting next Tuesday, the terror awareness level will be further raised to Stage 3 alert in the host city Gyeongju and its neighboring cities of Busan, Daegu, and Ulsan, as well as the surrounding Gyeongsangbuk-do and Gyeongsangnam-do provinces. A Stage 3 alert is the second highest in the 4-tier system and will result in a tighter traffic control and expanded screenings at airports and seaports. Both measures will remain in place until November 1st, when the APEC event comes to a close. The first phase of the U.S. brokered ceasefire in Gaza, which brought an immediate end to fighting in the region, was threatened on Sunday, just 9 days following its enforcement. But Sunday night local time, the Israeli military said it would continue to respect the ceasefire, adding that it would uphold its end of the agreement. Cha Yun-kyung reports.
The Israeli military said around 9 p.m. local time on Sunday night that it had resumed respecting the ceasefire in Gaza. This comes after the fragile U.S. brokered ceasefire deal that started on October 10th faced its first major test. The Israeli military said it acted after Hamas fighters fired weapons, including an anti-tank missile, at Israeli troops in Rafah, killing 2 of them, which it called a blatant violation of the truce. Israel says its forces struck Hamas targets across Rafah, Khan Yunis, and Nuseirat, including 6 kilometers of underground tunnels. Hospital officials say at least 45 people were killed, including women and children. Among those killed was a senior Hamas commander. Hamas military wing denied involvement in any clashes, saying it remains committed to the ceasefire, under which Hamas is supposed to relinquish its weapons so as to no longer pose a threat to Israel, but warned that new attacks could push the situation toward total collapse. An Israeli military officer also confirmed that the delivery of aid that has been temporarily halted would resume on Monday local time. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump said on Sunday that the ceasefire was still in place while aboard Air Force One. President Trump acknowledged to reporters that Hamas has been quite rambunctious and doing something shooting, but also suggested that the violence may be the actions of rebels within the Hamas organization rather than its leadership. Trump also emphasized that the Israeli strikes were under review and would be handled toughly and properly. Regarding the war between Russia and Ukraine, President Trump repeated his stance that the 2 countries should stop fighting and accept current battle lines, adding that they need to negotiate details of a final resolution. Cha Yun-kyung, Arirang News.
Time now to take a look at what's been happening in the world of sports. For that, we have our sports editor, Paul Neitz, joining us in the studio. Welcome back, Paul.
Thank you. Hello.
Paul, why don't we start with baseball and the MLB postseason? It looks like we'll have a Korean star involved in the World Series this year.
Yes, that's right. If selected, Kim Hye-sung could be involved in the World Series this year. That is because the LA Dodgers swept the National League Championship Series 4-0 over the Milwaukee Brewers. Friday's 5-1 win meant that Game 5 wasn't required. This places them in the second World Series in as many years. Now, Kim Il-sung, despite just scoring the run that got the Dodgers to the next phase, hasn't featured since that 2-1 win over the Phillies. If selected, though, he'll be the first Korean star to feature in a World Series since Choi Ji-man in 2020. LA await the winner of the American League Championship Series between the Seattle Mariners and the Toronto Blue Jays. The series is tied at 3-3 heading into Game 7 in Toronto on Monday local time. The Mariners earned a 2-game lead, but the Blue Jays fought back to level at 2-2. Seattle won Game 5, then Toronto won Game 6.
Paul, moving on to football, it looks like Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors have been crowned K-League champions.
Yes, they won it over the weekend. They sealed the title with 5 games to spare, 2 no less. Now, it came via a 2-0 win over Suwon FC, thanks to goals from Andrea Campagno and Thiago Orobo, along with Gimcheon Sangmu's 4-1 loss to FC Anyang. It meant that Jeonbuk had mathematically sealed their first title since 2021. It's also the second time that they have done so pre-split before the final round, with 5 more matches to be played, having done so in 2018 as well. Jeonbuk have been dominant, winning 21 matches so far this season and losing just 4. It's quite the turnaround from almost suffering relegation last year and after 3 years of Ulsan dominance. It's also title number 10, further extending their record as Korea's most successful club.
Amazing. Now moving on to short track speed skating. More medals for Choi Min-jung.
Yes, 1 gold and 1 silver on the final day of the ISU World Tour in Canada. Choi won the 1500 metres on Sunday with a time of 2 minutes 17.399 seconds. This was Korea's only individual gold at the competition. Choi also won silver in the 1000 metres on Saturday, and on Sunday won silver in the mixed 2000 metre relay along with Hwang Dae-hon, Kim Gil-lee and Im Jong-un. Earning ISU medals is of double importance, with places assigned for the 2026 Winter Olympics allocated depending on the results of the 4 World Tour competitions.
Paul, last but not least to golf. At long last, Kim Se-young has another LPGA win.
Yes, her first in 5 years. It came at the BMW Championship. On home soil, too, no less, in Haenam in the south of the country on Sunday. Kim finished at 24 under 264. It was a wire-to-wire victory that saw her take home $345,000 in prize money. It was her 13th LPGA win overall, but first since November 2020. And it really was on home soil because Kim is from Yeongnam, just a 30-minute drive from Haenam, so it was a happy homecoming for the LPGA veteran. According to Yonhap, Kim became LPGA winner number 27 this year, a record, and the 3rd Korean to earn a wire-to-wire win this season as well.
Great stuff. As always, Paul, thanks for coming in tonight. I'll see you next Monday.
Thank you. Yeah.
Cold air came down from the north, bringing the coldest weather of this fall. The morning temperature in Seoul today was only 5.3 degrees Celsius. Seoraksan Mountain in Gangwon-do province plummeted to minus 1.3 degrees, and the first snow of this year fell on Seoraksan Mountain. It will get even colder tomorrow morning. With cold around the country, around 5 to 40 millimeters of rain will fall along the east coast until tomorrow. In addition, strong wind warnings are in place along the coast of the Jeollado provinces and Ulleungdo Island. Most areas will start off in the single digits, with Seoul at 4 degrees, Chuncheon and Daejeon at 6 degrees. Daily highs will stay below 20 degrees all over the country. Rain in the eastern parts of Gangwon-do province will continue until Friday. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
That is all we have for tonight. I'm Kim Dami. From all of us here at Arirang, thanks for watching and good night.